Alright guys, hello and welcome back to my series on how to do things in factions, various things, and today we're going to go over a little bit of base building, mostly the walls aspect of base building. Bases in factions can get incredibly elaborate, take hours to make, and they get huge and all this stuff, and there's so many aspects to base building. I'm only going to go over one today, and that's kind of the walls around the base. So you want to have your base, right? And for now, we'll just say that this obsidian box is our base. And it's important to keep in mind throughout this this tutorial right here, this thing, is that bases are never impenetrable. Okay, bases are always going to be able to be penetrated by a cannon. As far as I know, they could always be penetrated, assuming that you're playing on a server with Obsidian Breaker. This whole tutorial, this whole series really is assuming that you're playing on a server with Obsidian Breaker set up properly, meaning that there are no indestructible blocks. If you don't know, Obsidian Break in vanilla Minecraft, TNT will never blow up Obsidian. It'll never blow up enchantment tables. It'll never blow up Ender chests. All these things will never blow up. Whereas in with Obsidian Breaker, they will break eventually. So the key to base building really is just a lot of walls. Okay, you want walls and you want buffers. There's more stuff that can be done to the inside of a base to make it harder once they get in to move around, but we're gonna go over the walls of base building today. So the way that this is gonna work is you're gonna want water, because when TNT is sitting in water, it will not leave any explosive damage. Because I built this right next to our cannon, because we're going to be talking about cannons a lot. I know more about base building from a cannon aspect because I have spent more time base building. I spent more time penetrating bases than I did building them in my day. So, one thing to keep in mind is that you want to have water between every level, right? So I'm going to just go here. I'll use iron blocks. I'm just going to show you. Easier than carrying a lot of buckets on you, this is just general Minecraft tip, is to carry a few pieces of ice on you. Okay, well these, I need to go time set 0. 1 second, guys. And I know that a lot of you play on woodycraft.net. If you don't, you can check it out. Great faction server. And on Woodycraft, on one server, Obsidian takes 3 hits to break, and on the other it takes 5. I don't remember which is which right now. Sorry, game mode 0. Break this, and you get yourself some water. Nice. It's easier because you'll probably be in game mode 0, and it'll save you a lot of time doing it this way. Now, you want to have water between every level. It's good to have multiple obsidian levels, but even more important than obsidian levels are sand levels. So, the importance of putting sand between each level is simple. The reason that you put down sand is that so if you think about it, once they blow up, sorry, let me put down the sand first. You want sand and you want a lot of water. Obsidian is good because it is more resistant than cobblestone. I mean, say cobblestone or any block, it's more resistant than. But in a sense, it is just like more resistant. Cobblestone doesn't have any special characteristics, besides it takes longer to break. So that's why people use obsidian. It is pretty expensive on faction servers. Now, if you figure that someone's raiding, and they hit your base and they hit it here, more sand falls down. They hit it here, more sand falls down. Now, you have to imagine this on a bigger scale. I mean, no one will build a base this big. You want to build a huge base. But once they hit one piece of sand, more falls to take its place. So, essentially, they will have to raid and blow up the wall, 10 times instead of 1. Now, the next part is putting down slabs. Slabs are huge when building a base. Slabs are probably the biggest deterrent for anyone raiding. I know that I, in the past, have checked, does this base have slabs? And if it does, I just won't raid it. And that's simply because you're also going to want to put water between every level. Here we go. We're going to put down water now. And you wouldn't want to build a base like this. You'd want to build it in a square. I'm only building one wall because I want to prove point. Here we go. There we go, that's good. I'm going to put this here again. And sand. Building walls to your base and factions is incredibly repetitive. You're going to be doing the same thing over and over and over. Again and again and again. But the walls are simply there to deter people from raiding. Because no matter what, if Obsidian Breaker is installed correctly, there's no major key like, oh, this is how you build an impenetrable base. As server admins, admins try to make it so that bases are never impenetrable, you know? It's not like there is a secret that is yet to be found. Once there is something is found, it will be fixed. So, a major mechanic of the game of factions is that all bases you can get into. You know, all bases can be raided. Alright, so, you want to put slabs between every level, because if you see, you're launching you're launching TNT. TNT lands in water. Okay, how do you combat that? Hybrid cannon, okay, by sending sand as well. Sending sand, we saw this in the cannon tutorial that I did recently. If you didn't see that, you could check it out. Sending sand over, this will, then sand and TNT will exist in the same block for a little while and blow up. So let's say someone's raiding, they land some sand. Sand falls, and it breaks on the slab. So, essentially, assuming that this is, 50 blocks taller, they're going to have to build one cannon down low to get rid of your slabs, and another cannon up high to get rid of the sand itself. So, it's also important that you don't just do one thing. You see here, I was doing obsidian, sand, obsidian, sand, obsidian, sand. Don't do that. Okay, do, obsidian, sand, obsidian, well, of course, water is between every level, so it'd be like obsidian, water, sand, water, obsidian, sand, just on and on, with water in between every level. Just keep putting down, keep alternating. Don't just do sand. Now, there is more to claiming a base. There's more to the walls. Another really big thing is the claiming land. I think that we will go on to the faction server itself to check this out. And of course, this seems obvious, but maybe you didn't think of this. Always make, here we go. Always make, oop, and there. Always make your outermost layer water. And now we have a wall that is much harder to raid than just like one obsidian wall or one water wall. Because they have to do essentially the same thing 3 or 4 times for every level. You're never going to build an impenetrable base like I said, but you might be able to build one that takes a really long time to get into, possibly long enough for you to even log into the server. The second really important thing when building the walls of your base is the claim. Buffer claims are huge. I think that I'm going to go into factions, find some examples right now, and I'll be right back. Alright guys, right before we get into buffers and claims, I do want to say, here I am at my factions base. This is the base that I'm currently using on Factions Fire, and you can see here that we're trying something new, right? The reason I didn't endorse this in this video so far is because I don't know if it's going to work. I'm going to wait to make sure it works first. What we essentially have is a pyramid on its head, okay? And I've never seen this done before. I'm glad that my faction's trying it. I think that it's going to be cool. Essentially, if you think about it, this is much harder to raid than a pyramid right side up, because it's harder to land sand at a downward slant than an upward slant. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Now I'm going to look for some cool claims that I could show you a little bit about claiming and how that relates to kind of the walls of a base. Alright guys, I'm on Woodycraft Factions Fire here, and as you can see in front of me I have an extreme example. I'm just showing you my coordinates. I have an extreme example of a base. Now my frame rate drops to about 20 or 30 here, and I have a pretty good PC, so it's possible that with a bad PC you could just crash here. I have an incredibly extreme example of walls. So walls in factions, I feel like a broken record, but I'm going to say it one more time, are simply to slow down and deter the raider. But we also have a buffer here. If you see F map, you can see how much claim they have done. So it's important to claim north-south. Cannons only work north-south. Cannons in Minecraft do not work east-west. It's a bug, it's a glitch, it's a directional thing. Some things in Minecraft are directional. This is an example of one of them. They only work east-west. Now, or they don't work east-west, they only work north-south. So as you can see by that F-map, I don't know if you guys know how to read an F-map, but if you look, the backslashes and forward slashes are conquer and I can't read that, requiem, whatever their name is, and they've barely claimed anything on the east-west, but they've claimed a lot on the north-south. Now, that's good because they can only get raided on north-south because that's the only way cannons work. So that's an example of a buffer raid. They also have these huge walls. Here's another downward pyramid-type wall thing filled with water. Now, this base would be incredibly hard to raid simply because they have so many walls. You see my frame rate's dropping all the way to 19 here because of these heads. Heads in Minecraft will cause a lot of frame lag. They mounted this one person's head on the wall a lot of times. He seems to have died a lot. Down here, you can just see, imagine raiding this base opposed to raiding a little square. You've got these water walls over here. The actual base, I think, is inside this cobblestone somewhere. I think. I've been around this place a few times. Here we go. See, the actual base is somewhere in here. But as you can see, I'm breaking this block. I'm not cheating or anything. The block comes right back. But we got water and then more cobblestone. I could only imagine how thick this base is. This base must be 30, 40 layers thick. Not to mention also, these guys have put up so many walls. I'm not a member of this faction, mind you. They put up these walls too. These are water walls that I assume had some blocks in the middle here but got blown up. And this is a very extreme example. You can see how many walls they put up. They've got more over there. These are all walls. Oh, I just almost died on that wall. They got these pits, and this goes to show that walls are incredibly important, but also just the fact of how much they had to, or they did alter the terrain around their area makes it just about impossible to raid them. I mean, you can see this. This is a pretty long corridor. This looks like it was a TNT raid, but just because of how many deep holes there are, how many walls there are, it makes it just impossible to raid them. And they claimed a lot on the north-south. Now, you can only have so much power, and you never want to have more land than you do power claimed, because then you can get overclaimed. So it's important to have alt factions. Alt factions are an incredibly big part of factions. An alt faction can help. I think that I might have done this. Did I? No, I don't think so. Maybe. Looks like me. I don't think this was me. Alt factions you can use to claim more land around your base than just or buffer your base better. The bigger your claim, the safer you're gonna be. It doesn't matter that much on east-west, like I said, mostly north-south. And I think that's going to be all today. I think that next time we talk about factions, I'm going to be talking about kind of the interior of a base, how to do that. I also plan to do a lot more about making money. I haven't been making too much money myself in factions, so maybe you guys should help me there. Whatever. Thank you for coming to this episode. I will see you guys next time.